All right. Pause recording for started. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Webinar Wednesday. We're excited to get our Webinar Wednesday started up again for the first of the year. We are in snowy Colorado, enjoying a white wintry day. So we're happy to be on Zoom with you all. Today, we're going to be talking with Brad Bombardier from Reality Concepts. He's going to do a webinar for us on digital marketing for home builders, what works and what does not. Before I pass it over to Brad this morning, I do want to go over a few housekeeping items. We are recording the webinar today, so feel free to come back and visit our website under the events tab in the webinar section, and you can watch this and many other webinars that we've recorded over the last couple of years. And then if you have any questions during the webinar, we will take them, but we're going to hold all questions till the end, and I will read them out loud to Brad so he can answer them live for you. You can ask those questions clicking on the Q&A bubbles. There's two little speech bubbles that are meshed together down at the bottom of your screen. You click on that and you type in your question, and we'll answer that at the conclusion of the webinar. If you're having any technical difficulties or you need to ask a question directly to me, you can reach me directly on the chat bubble. So there's a single speech bubble that you can click at the bottom of the screen, and you can send a message directly to me, and I'll see if I can help you on the back end. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Brad to go ahead and get started. We're really excited to have him with us today. He is going to be joining us in our booth at International Builders Show in 2 weeks. So if you guys are going to be there, make sure you visit us at booth W1445 in the West Wing. And he'll be giving a presentation in the booth live on, I believe, Wednesday. So with that, I'm going to pass it on over. Thanks, Brad.
All right, well, thank you. So first off, if you do come to the booth and you want us to go over your marketing program or anything like that, I'll be in the booth. I'll be available. I'll have a computer there that we can review anything, or I can answer any kind of questions, in addition to teaching basically similar information. So I know that we've sent this out, and it's been titled "Where Have All the Good Times Gone?" And that's in relationship to the amazing selling cycle that we had through 2020 and really through 2022, where everybody unexpectedly was locked down at their homes. Safer at Home program was in place, and everybody decided that they didn't want to do their home office in their tiny little home, and they wanted to move up, or people wanted to get their first home. So the demand was super high, but then that has changed. So what we're going to be very focused on is 2023, and this is based on my experience working with home builders, as well as me keeping my finger on the pulse of what's going on digitally in the marketing world, and what seems to be very effective these days. And so, you know, there's professional organizations like the HBA for what we do, and I'm a part of a couple of those, and they keep us very informed. And so we've been going through predictions and things like that just to make sure we're ready when we work for the home builder. So we're going to go a little bit through where we're at right now and how we got there. And so let me see if I can, this did not register. Okay, so search demand versus new home sales. Now, what does this mean? When you type in the search term new homes for sale into Google, you're going to get a list of homes, new homes, projects that are probably near you, because that's one of the main criteria that Google uses. But the question is, does that search term go along with new home sales? So sales peak reached a completely new high in 2022. That's for the demand for the search term. In my research, sales were the tops that they've been in quite some time for new homes as far as new home starts. We all remember that there were no inventory on these. There were no spec homes available. As soon as you built it, they were gone. I talked to multiple builders, and they're like, well, I don't even need to advertise. It's just happening, which is a good thing. We also remember there was a bidding war on existing homes. The remarkable thing, and this I've never seen in my life, was we had literally a flip, and that flip was practically overnight, where we were once in a seller's market, and then by the time they raised interest rates, we're in a buyer's market, and that's how fast things change. So we know that people moved up because they needed more space, and the question that we're all asking is, where did the good times go? We know that our industry is a bit dependent on interest rates to a degree, but we also know that there's ways of getting around that. So let's take a look at this. Let's see what Google has to say about our search term, new homes for sale. So what we're going to look at is 2014. The reason I'm going to show you 2014 is because that's the first of the Google trends that we can pull up. And if we take a look here, this is a peak. This is a 100% mark. That's at the very top there. That's the very highest demand in 2014. We obviously see how bad things got in 2010. Then we start to see things turn around towards 2012. And then back then, I was basically predicting that this would be a gentle curve up. Well, obviously, that's about 10 years ago. What's happened since then? So when we take a look at that term, new homes for sale, this is the graph now. When you go to Google/trends, to google.com/trends, or just type it into the search bar and you type in new homes for sale, you're going to see that 2004, we were here, 2015, we were here, and all the way back in this range here prior to 2008, there was a very high demand. This table was kind of flipped, and take a look. Here's our demand that we show right at this very point. So there's the 2004 demand there. Okay, this is a 52% demand compared to the highest level. So that's the point of this line right here. Okay, this is January of 2023. This endpoint right there. Okay, and then this line's going across. This is looks like this is 17, 18, and 19. Okay, those peaks right under the word highest. All right, now October of 2021, that's the highest demand for the search term. Doesn't mean it represents new home sales, but it's actually pretty close. Okay, and then now this is the low part, is the 2023 demand. Okay, and that high point is a 52 percentile off of that. So what does that mean? It means that the home buyer pie, as we all know, is much smaller than 2020. We know that because of interest rates, it's caused some people to have to drop out of the market. They just can't qualify at this point, or they need to, secure more savings. So fewer are able to qualify these days. And then how are they going to find your homes? That's the question. And who are they? All right. So we have to focus on types of advertising that we can reach as many of them as possible. So there's, to a degree, depending on your type of home, whether it's move up, luxury, first-time home buyer, that's also going to have some effect on the demographic. To a degree, we certainly know that first-time home buyers, that particular home can also be a move down buyer, because that does happen. But for the most part, we want to kind of think a little bit about the demographics at some point, but we're going to focus on the types of advertising that you can do, as well as the things that don't cost you anything, but it's still a form of advertising, and how it affects your sales. Okay, so we're going to deal with one called transactional advertising, and we're going to deal with the other type, which is branded or relationship advertising. And so we're going to go into detail on those two real quick for a part of this, and actually look at the digital forms of advertising that are under each category. You'll figure out pretty quick that from a ad agency point of view, how these will affect you as a home builder and what this means moving forward. Okay, so let's look at what the differences are. Transactional advertising, it means that this is, for the most part, SEM, text-based paid ads with Google and Bing. Not completely, but that's kind of more of the focus. Google is still king. I just did research. I pretty much do it about every 6 months. Google's still sitting at 85 to 92% of where searches happen. Now, there's other stats that show Bing is moving up and things like that, but not for actual conversion. So Google's still the king. SEO, which is organic search, which is not ongoing advertising, except paying the firm that will help you with that. But that's your ranking in the organic part, and we'll take a look at what the difference is. So it's how do you rank for your brand name? How do you rank for the term new homes for sale or home builder in a particular area? Okay. Both are critical in this transactional advertising. So these are the two main ways that we're going to advertise within this world, but we're also going to cover a few more as well. So it's focused on making the sale. So we all know that as home builders, this is critical. We've got to get those homes sold. We've got to get them moved. So transactional is just like anything else. You're focused on getting the sale done, okay? Creating a brand, okay, or basically relationship advertising is more of a long-term play, basically. So you're more focused on a different side of the selling cycle. It's efficient and it's good for the bottom line. Obviously, we need to sell X number of homes per year, and this will get it done. Okay, it's very effective in conversions. And SEM, which is search engine marketing, which is the paid ad side, and SEO, which is the organic search side, are focused on these types of advertising. Okay, so let's take a look at a search that I just did on new homes for sale. If you look at the very top, you'll see ad, 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 ad. So I typed in new homes for sale near me. Right by me is Lennar. I don't even know, Life at the Prairie. Oh, this is a community, a new master plan community. Then we have New Home Source, and then we have Oakwood Homes right there. These are all paid. This is before I even scroll. If you were to do this on a phone, you would see only these ads to start with. That's all you see. Okay, there's a reason for that. All paid results are prior to even any scrolling at this point. Didn't used to be that way. Used to have 2 results, 3 results at the most. But these days, well, there's a reason for that. It's prevalent this way on mobile and desktop. And one of the main reasons that you're seeing such a high demand for the website within the mobile market is most people type at least the first, second, and sometimes the third result, not paid versus SEO, but paid ads, period. They just click on it, not even sure what it really is. And the results are, well, Google makes some money. So we know for sure that Google is not a .org. So they're not here to, change the world from a benevolent standpoint. They're here to answer to their stockholders. So they changed this policy some time ago, but it's gotten even more so now to where there's nothing other than paid ads within the first 4 to 6 listings, and we'll show you more in a second. Now, this is the very first organic listing. You notice it doesn't say anything about ads. It just says new homes in Colorado by KB Homes. So that is the main title of that organic search, okay? And then this is going to be the rest of it, and that's going to be mixed between New Home Source, Zillow, and Realtor.com. And we're going to go into a little bit of those. Think of Zillow. We call Zillow a pass-through site. You go to Zillow to get information to go somewhere else, wherever your ending result will be. Same thing with Google. It's where you're going to go to get information and then go somewhere else. So that's why we call it a pass-through. Okay, so there we go. The very first true home builder is 1, 2, 3, 4 on the list on the organic results. Okay, so organic results are not paid per click. You don't pay Google anything. So KB Homes is enjoying a very good position there. It's based on the quality of the site and popularity of the site. There are very specific metrics of measuring that. Okay, so real quick on SEO and SEM. Okay, SEO is based on what we call organic results when Google crawls the site and determines where you're going to be. Okay, so here's another example. We call this, this is just plumbers near me. So this is a Aurora plumber in Aurora, Colorado, just, somewhere in my neighborhood. You do get the reviews, the ratings, et cetera, et cetera. That does have an effect. Okay, and then SEM is paid placement. Okay, see where it says ad rootertown.com. Okay, that is actually a paid ad to where if I click that, they'll get charged a certain amount based on the popularity of that keyword. Okay, so if you already know this stuff, that's great, but understand it's transactional. You're not really building a brand. Other than the name of the URL, Rootertown or Brothers Plumbing, you're not going to have a recognition of that, but it converts very well. It's very transactional in the sense, I went to the store for milk, I went and I bought milk, and that's it. Okay, it doesn't matter what milk I'm buying per se, but it just matters that I got what I wanted. Same thing with transactional advertising. So it's going to be something that will convert very well, but it doesn't create loyalty to that brand. So when should you use it? Well, you should have a good SEO program. And if you don't, definitely I'd love to talk to you, but we can evaluate that. Google rewards this, especially on page advertising. So if you do any kind of SEM, you actually get a pretty good sized discount for having good SEO. It reduces the cost of those ads. So somebody else might pay $4 per click. You may only be paying $2 per click. It should be the foundation of any campaign, of any advertising campaign, and it's how you get found for the most part. Okay, it is slow and patience is critical. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes some time to end up with a result, but you want to focus on the project, gaining more keywords, gaining increased rankings, so on. Okay, you can buy those results as we just saw in the search engine marketing side of it, but we got to consider what we could talk about, the ROI. So now we're going to talk strictly about the paid side of this. And what we're doing is laying a foundation of your advertising campaign in 2023. Okay, very precise. It covers, this is the beauty of AdWords. We can get AdWords down to the zip code. I work with a few franchises, and in those franchises, they have areas they cannot work in, and then they have borders that they can. And they're most often listed by zip code. So you've probably heard that term geofencing, and it's a buzz term, but basically you're creating a geographic digital fence around a specific area of where you want those ads to show. Very specific. Can't get down to the house level, but it's pretty close when you're down to the zip code. Okay, so marketing moved to those who are interested in your homes, because with AdWords, it's based on people that are searching for things like you. When you change the campaign to pursue people who have an interest in real estate, so you're going to be maximizing the conversions, is what they call that. Okay, so conversions do equal sales. There's no question about it. These are people who have gone to there, typing in new homes, and they're very interested in what you have to say, and they visit the site. Can be very highly geofenced. You can include areas, you can include areas. The other huge advantage, which I don't think that I have a speaking point on this, but you can include your competitors in that. So, for instance, if you're competing with KB Homes or you're competing with another builder, I'm just using that as an example, or any other builder, you can include that not in the physical ads, but in the keywords that you're looking for. And that is a strategy that can help. So you're on this side of the street and your competitors on the other side, you can include their keywords as part of your strategy. And so hopefully someone will see, oh yeah, that is kind of in the area, so I'm going to look at them as well. So that's done commonly. I guarantee if you're active on the internet and your site's popular, you will have competitors doing that to you. There's nothing wrong with it. And you can certainly do that with your competitors. Okay. Let me back up here. The pre-qualifying point. Okay. So you saw those previous ads, homes from the low 400s, 500s, etc. If I'm looking for a home in the 300s to 400s, which is getting harder to find, I'm not going to click that ad because I'm not interested. Thus, you kind of, in a way, pre-qualify the buyer prior to even coming to the site. You can do that with communities. You can do that with individual homes. You can use Google as a kind of a MLS, so to speak, by actually advertising a specific address if that's what you want to do, but it works extremely well at the community level. Okay. It does allow for retargeting. What is that? Well, we used to call that remarketing, but you've seen it many times. You've gone to a website, you've shopped for something, then all of a sudden you visit other websites, and that's all you're seeing. You're seeing ads for that same company over and over and over again. And we do the same thing with our clients. We do want that retargeting. I call it kind of refrigerator magnet advertising, where you're actually physically telling people to come back to the site and keep shopping. So, and I hate to say it, it works with me because I bought a lot of stuff I don't need. Oh yeah, okay, and go back, and then some reason I bought it then in a moment of weakness versus other times. So we want them to keep shopping for homes. We know that that cycle for some people can be, very short, a couple of months, and other people it can be a couple of years. So we want your brand name in front of them. And it sounds like a brand name play, but it's really designed to be transactional and brand. So that retargeting is a positive side effect of your marketing. So you're actually getting more value and more clicks based on those additional retargeting ads. Okay. Spend for a home builder should be $15,000 to $3,000 a month for a bigger builder. I know that for some of you, that's going to sound like an awful lot because I've dealt with, big home builders that, when they get that number, they're like, oh my goodness. But if you want to keep that momentum going, that is definitely a budget that should definitely be discussed, and those different elements. But we've gotten results for as little as $500. So just keep in mind that that's going to be a pretty limited campaign. You can do stuff for 1,000 and under. That isn't a problem. The best part about AdWords strategies, in fact, most of these strategies are very flexible in the sense that you can turn them on, turn them off. It's very common to have a home builder. There's nothing we can do. People are just not interested in January and December and January, or the end of fourth quarter. And we reduce that budget. Other builders are in the opposite mode where they want their information ahead of them, so when they are interested, they're ready to go. But the bottom line, it's flexible. So if you're a really small builder and you're just getting started and you don't have the time to answer the ads, then you can actually pause them when you're on vacation or something. But the reality is it's very flexible. That budget can be reworked literally daily if that's what you'd like to do. So it's got a lot of advantages. It is a must-have for home builders because you are advertising against the big guys and the little guys. So it really is an important part of the strategy. So other transactional advertising that we're going to talk about, since we've talked about SEO and SEM, let's talk about what are some of the other things which we call pass-through sites. These are transactional because their job is not to promote the brand. Their job is to get interest on the individual home. So these are the larger new home search sites. So you know who these guys are. They're Zillow, they're New Home Source, they're the Zillow feed, which is by a realtor, the MLS, BDX, which is the New Home Source, and which is best of all of them? Well, you should have one. I says need one, but the reality is it's a really good idea to be involved in at least one of these guys, because this is, again, back to the strategy of being in all the places people are these days. So we know who Zillow is and we know how they charge. Generally, that's by the community. And just to kind of give you a tip, let's just say your Zillow rep says, okay, let's make this work. And you have 4 communities and we're going to advertise in all of them. But one of those communities is only got 1 home in it. Well, just for an example, let's say each of those communities costs $500 a piece. You only have 1 home in one of those communities. There really isn't a point in advertising that whole community and all the homes in it. The real advantage is that you can shut that one off, okay? Pause it or shut it off and take that $500 and put that into other types of advertising, especially, Google AdWords, just for those few homes that are left in that community, and save that money. You could cut it in half or whatever you want. You're not going to get as much value when you have you know, when you're down to your last 2 or 3 homes for that community. Now, I know certainly, as it says here, that the Zillow feed that comes through your realtor is free. So you don't have to worry about that, but we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. There's New Home Source. We also know that we have that's Redfin, and then we've got, that's Redfin, I'm sorry, the other one's realtor.com. So all these are sources that will show your new homes. The one advantage that I like about Zillow is that you get full control. It does prevent, from what I understand, you're going to have to talk to a Zillow rep. It's supposed to create an exclusive relationship, and I've seen that happen to where a realtor can't put your homes into the MLS. Okay, so thus your advertising with Zillow is exclusive to you. So none of your homes will go in via the MLS, even if a realtor puts it in there. Now you say, well, why would I want to do that? And why would I ever even want to pay for Zillow? You do get some features out of Zillow that just doesn't come through the normal listings. And Zillow can promote those communities a lot more effectively from the home builder standpoint. So I do like that. Now let's say, because of budget reasons or other reasons, you just don't want to advertise or pay Zillow, and I keep saying Zillow for a specific reason, at all. Well, you will still get, as long as you have a relationship with a realtor or someone within the company that's putting those homes through the feed in the MLS, then they're going to come through anyway. So it's something to consider, but what I like about it is that the home builder has a more granular control over what happens, such as plat maps and things like that. Now, of course, New Home Source is its own thing, and it's strictly new homes. So that's a big plus. The others are definitely held to the MLS. So if it's in the MLS, great, then they're going to see it on the other platforms. These do help. They are truly transactional. They really don't promote the brand that much. When you see the map, it's going to be a hodgepodge of, you know, price points, and but they do work. They do bring people to the site, and they do add to the traffic and help you out overall to sell your homes. Okay, you know, when in doing this class in the past, we really didn't talk about those forms of advertising because they weren't as effective at that time. But now Zillow for sure is becoming a household name. In my opinion, it's moving towards Google status for new home searches. All right, eBlast. These are ways that you can still accomplish the same thing. I've lumped them into the transactional, but eBlasts are both transactional and brand oriented, but you really should be involved in some sort of an eBlast campaign. They're low cost. They promote both the brand and the homes. It's your message. You get full control over it. You've already got the emails. And so please consider those emails that you get through whatever format that you have, whether it's Stone and Chisel or CMS, you know, or whatever system that you have, or CRM, I'm sorry, but whatever system that you have, okay, spreadsheet or whatever, just think of those, every one of those is a potential home buyer, because it's very common that somebody gets that consistent e-blast, the right timing hits, and then they buy. So lets the customer know you're still here. So once you're out of sight, out of mind, you've looked, they were interested, they're not ready right now because of the interest rates drop, they're pulling the trigger, you're there, you've just sent them an e-blast and everything works out. That's exactly how you want to think of it, okay? Consider your blog an extension of that. It also becomes an important part of your e-blast. You're going to be able to add information to your blog. You can talk about spring or winter fertilizing of your lawn. You can talk about whatever you want. Don't make it overly home builder oriented, but don't forget about promoting yourself and the brand. The blog also is a huge help for your SEO, okay? So content is king, still is, always has been with Google. And the more often you update your site, the better off you are. So again, that's going to trigger Google and say, hey, these guys are very up to date. They just put in new information. There is an additional cost on some sites to, you know, add a blog in there, but really it's worth it, you know, whatever platform you're on. You can also add FAQs. I highly recommend those. You can cover all the various different topics, thus pick up a whole bunch of search terms, okay? Anything related to financing, I feel like that's always a very strong section of the website. And then informational pages in general that you might want to add on there. These are in addition to stuff that you put on your blog. When you look at your website, don't just focus on inventory, always look for ways that you're going to expand the content that you currently have. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about Google My Business. That logo is no longer the logo, but it isn't even called Google My Business, it's Google Local. But here's the thing, this is free. It's very important. It's very good if you've got good reviews. It's very positive. It posts, you can post to it exactly the same as Facebook. If you're posting to Facebook, then you should be posting to Google as well. You can literally copy and paste the same post from one to the other. Do it on a regular basis. They give those profiles a little more promotion. Very location based. So when you're doing a near me, and you've got a, you know, your home office near that person, they're going to come up even if you're not building that way. If you add your individual communities, that's even better. Again, one of the main thing is they're going to send a postcard to that community. So you kind of do need some sort of an address where that can go and they can, you know, get the Google code. But you've seen them before. You've seen on the side, if you type in a company name, that it appears on the side. And then there's also a listing for any search term, especially when you type in near me, and it gives you those options. You can read about the company. It's almost like a Facebook, you know, business Facebook, but it's the Google version. And that is actually what it was intended to be, is to be a competitor for Facebook when Facebook did not sell to Google. Okay. It is an absolute must. I can't stress that enough. If you've avoided it only because you're afraid of reviews, don't, because you can respond to those reviews. That's always a positive. So even if you have a few bad reviews, you can respond to them and tell them how hard you've worked to resolve that issue. Okay. Must have a profile that's complete. It'll tell you how complete you are. Hours, everything should be on there, especially the hours of any kind of a model home that may or may not be open. So if it's closed on a holiday, you can announce that from that standpoint. There will be tracking, okay? It won't be as efficient as your website, but within your profile, when you log in, you can go see how many people have seen the site, what they're doing on it, etc. And it's more than you think. It's also advertisable, so you can make that part of your advertising strategy. Some people don't physically go to the website. They feel like they got enough information just off of it's Google My Business. That's what it's called now, on your Google My Business listing. Okay. If you want to sign up for it, you need a Gmail address. You go to google.com, type in Google My Business, hit the link that they give you and set it up. Okay. AdWords is what's used for the advertising platform, and it's pretty efficient. If you don't have any kind of AdWords at all, okay, and you set up the Google My Business, it'll give you the option to start some advertising. And that's not a bad way to jump in. Don't put thousands of dollars in there. Just dip your toe in the water with, you know, a couple hundred a month or something like that. Okay. Couple more different types. Okay. eBlast. They promote the brand in the home. We talked about that. Lets the customer know you're here. The blog, additional content. So these are the low cost ways of making sure, as a summary, that you're getting it done, you know, without paying money towards the advertising. So here's our summary of transactional. 2023 SEO is still a very strong factor. The sites that I work with, if they have a good SEO campaign, it's still bringing in a fair amount of traffic. It includes the local Google My Business. That's what I always think of it. So if we do SEO with a client, then we're definitely going to add this to that strategy. Just remember, transactional paid markets include Google AdWords. It can include Bing. Bing's not as big of a player, but they're, you know, still a solid platform. Zillow, New Home Source, those pass-through sites that we talked about, consistent updates to your site, additional content creation for the site consistently, okay? FAQs, financing, informational pages, etc. Okay. Now we're going to step into the other side, which is relationship and brand advertising. Now we're creating a relationship with clients. Okay, this is kind of the other side. We're not as focused on selling a home, which is still the eventual goal, but we're going to see why that is. So transactional, low cost, short term. Okay, we just talked about that. Okay, relationship, long-term relationships with the client. It's a higher cost. We'll see why. It creates a relationship with the client. It deals with emotional triggers.
Good morning. How are you? Okay. Good.
It taps into nostalgia. Can create some loyalty, which is great. Well, let's talk about a couple established brands. We're going to talk about one of the obvious. Relationship and branding, brand awareness. Let's talk about the two colas that come to mind. Now, I used to compare some other colas in there, but my favorite is really, it's Coke Zero, right? That's Cola One. That's the one you think about. The other one is Pepsi. That's it. Certainly, there's other brands out there. I can think of like Diet Right and some of those. Tabs still out there, which is a Coca-Cola product, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But because these guys do so much branding, trying to create a relationship, I like the taste of Coke, in my opinion. I like it better than Pepsi. It's just me, but that's taps into a nostalgia from my past and my family. So the reality is, same thing happens. You can think of beer, you can think of pretty much anything that has a strong brand awareness. And you'll notice that in these ads, you're not seeing that much that relates to the quality or this or that or the other. The focus is on some sort of an emotional connection between you and the brand. Okay, so we know that in our world, there's really only two to consider. We don't say, pass me a cola drink. When you go to a restaurant, this is what we have. And if you're a Coca-Cola drinker and they say Pepsi, we don't have Coke, generally you're going to say, you're going to generally pass. Some people don't, but most people do. And the opposite, if you like Pepsi, it's the other way around. Okay, so that's the pinnacle of brand advertising. And that's why you see your names on sports stadiums, you see it on everywhere that could possibly be there. I also see it really strongly in the energy drink market. You know, I see Red Bull, Monster Energy drink everywhere. Okay, so in these guys' case, it's complete segment domination. Now, of course, that's what we're going for. That's tougher to achieve. The tools are social media. Now, I know there's a lot of logos here that we're not going to talk about for a variety of reasons, but the main thing is it's social. All right, you got to be everywhere at all times. Again, thinking about Coke, Pepsi as best you can. Every time somebody thinks about our product or service, homes in general, we want them to think of, I need a new home. No, I need a fill in the blank, your home, basically, whichever name that, comes to mind. Think about any trusted brand. And the primary tool that we use for that is social media. That's why it's social. Okay, it does create two-way communication. People really do enjoy that these days. That's why it's called relationship marketing. So let's talk about 22 and 23. What's popular, what's working? Really, I don't know what to say. This is truly a list based on most popular platforms. I've been surprised because back 10 years ago, Facebook was falling behind, way behind. And I can honestly say I'm not thrilled with the interface, but you know what? Facebook is back. YouTube is number 2. This is literally in the order of users. So Facebook's number 1, YouTube is 2. Now you notice I got that crossed out, WhatsApp. WhatsApp's crossed out because there's no advertising. There's no way to penetrate that market currently. It doesn't mean it won't happen. It's just not there. Okay. Instagram. So technically it's number 3. WeChat. That's a Chinese thing. Obviously billions of people in China. So that's why it's so popular. Okay. And then we've got TikTok, which we'll talk about as well. So let's look at the top 2. which these are the same company, the Meta company. More likes, more followers, the better you're off. Initial campaign, okay, if you haven't done anything paid with Facebook before, pay for a campaign to get more likes to your Facebook page. Try to get that number over 1,000, okay? Run the campaigns for site clicks as well. Run the campaigns to the web page. So I recommend to the community, not to the home page. And that's the same with all the advertisement. Dig deeper into your site. Don't focus as much on the home page, okay? Send them to a specific page, not the home page. Send them to a community, okay? Send them to a unique page, meaning you could name it, Frank's community, and then, say Facebook ad. That would be an option, renaming that page, and then you could track that page to see how it's doing. Certainly you have the Facebook pixel and all that kind of stuff, but it's a way of verifying both. Conversions are traffic, okay? So what I'm saying is with AdWords, people leaving their information behind, name, address, etc., email, things like that, that's truly a conversion. With Facebook and Instagram, you're looking for people visiting. When the traffic goes up, you've received a conversion and the ads are doing their job. So conversions also are impressions. So how many people saw the ad? That's the way you want to think of it. So you want them to learn about the brand and the company as part of that strategy, okay? Them buying a house would be a bonus, but that's not always the case. They're just learning about the brand. And this platform, we're going to talk a lot more about video. YouTube, powerful. It's excellent for branding. Reach gets the amount of searches that local commercials get. That's what's amazing. We often think of a commercial as a very expensive way of being on TV. YouTube provides a very inexpensive way of reaching with the same power. You don't pay unless you watch it. We've all seen the skip this ad. If you click skip this ad, the person that's paying for that ad doesn't pay for it. That's the beauty of it. So if you get their branding message in there within the first few seconds, that's all you need to do. You've gotten the impressions that you need. But in addition to that, if they actually watch the whole thing, then you know they're actually interested, okay? It can be very granular because the advantage is YouTube tracks every single demographic, and they don't get particularly picky about real estate. So if you want a certain age group, just think about a few shows. I'm just going to throw something out there. I want to appeal to people that watch Dancing with the Stars. Well, that's going to be a very specific demographic. That's one way of doing it, and you can look that up. That's available on the internet. If you want to hit a particular age group, that's possible, but you can use those kinds of very specific terms to get very granular in your demographics, okay? It is really specific, and I like that. People watch everything though. I've been amazed. We've done some tests where we've put up, we put up a whole 1 hour long class that was about DuPont Tyvek that a manufacturer did for a builder. We got permission to use it as part of a YouTube as an experiment. I was surprised. 15 to 20% of the people watched the entire 1 hour long video. It's an open market with home builders. There really is few, if any, of your competitors in it right now. It's undiscovered country. So if you're looking for something new and different, powerful, this is it. It's an open market for manufacturers as well. It's just not being utilized in our world. Low conversions though, but high impressions, okay? Can have prime time like numbers, and I'm going to show you some of those. You can produce your own channel if you want. Okay, you can have video people create an entire channel dedicated to you. You're not paying for the ads, but you are paying for that production. Okay, it's underutilized in both the home builder market and the manufacturer market. Now, if you're curious, you probably heard about social influencers. This is a site called Social Blade. Write down socialblade.com. You can find out if you've seen any of these influencers, but this will give you an idea of the reach, and this is worldwide. This individual, Mr. Beast, 733 uploads, 128 million subscribers, 21 billion views. That is insane. In 1 month, his videos got 1.3 billion views in the last 30 days. Look at his income. He's making between 300,000 and 5.4 million a month. So you can see why people are trying to become influencers. There's a lot of money in it. And this, don't get me wrong, this guy's like a used car salesman, annoying. It's kind of like a Nickelodeon style show. So, you know, very much moving towards young people, young adults. But it's powerful. That's a lot of people. This is more in our market. Okay, it's got 309 uploaders, only about half a million subscribers, still has 124 million views. Okay, he's farther down the list, but it's in our market, so you could definitely right there apply for YouTube partnership. So that's how, if you really wanted to get an ad directly with this guy, you could, but you don't have to. You could actually tag your particular ad to be attached to his through YouTube, and that's also another way that he can make money. If you want him to sponsor something, great. It'll be expensive, but you can do it. If you want that ad to be a part of this particular channel, you can do that too. Okay, so the power of video, you can use bumper ads as a method. Okay, that's that subscribe, show your brand in the first few seconds, only charged when they watch more than a few seconds. Okay, so once the skip button's going away, then they've been charged. Okay, get your brand out at no cost. Remember, it's about conversions. Here's the power of TikTok. It's only 1 billion users on TikTok, which I still think is amazing, but 44% more comments than even Instagram Reels, which is the video version on Instagram. So it's definitely, of the Reels, short attention span theater is the most popular of all of them. Okay, 1 billion users, powerful algorithm. The algorithm is amazing. Once you start watching something, it's going to give you a whole lot more suggestions. Very steady growth rate. Most of the social media is kind of flattened out. It's very interactive, more so than most. Okay, and it goes viral more often, and there's a reason for that. It's because of that recommendation and that algorithm. Videos are shared quite often. Okay, and it doesn't pay their creators much, so it's a little more wide open than YouTube. As a builder, you could start your own YouTube channel, do some inexpensive videos, put them on TikTok. That's fine. See what happens. Nothing might happen and something might happen. The more engaging they are, the better off they are. They're always short. I think they're under 3 minutes. I can't remember. But the bottom line is you can do ads on these. So, and there's a reason. Here's the Social Blade of Mr. Beast again. That's his TikTok channel. Not as big, obviously. 84 million they measure in likes. Okay, and he's got 11.7 followers in the past 30 days. So you can see that the numbers aren't as high as YouTube, but it's still pretty amazing. So this is why for 2023, video should be considered as an option. One, every video translates to pretty much every platform. You can put video on YouTube, you can put video on Facebook, you can put video on Instagram, and you can use those 3 platforms to advertise from. You can put video on TikTok as well. Okay, each one will have its own kind of editing, but the same video can go on every single platform. And in addition to that, which makes it a huge bonus, okay, it really doesn't need that much adjustment. Okay, so those are the big ones: YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. So you're covering all the big ones. Okay, one video can be utilized very effectively. So it's got to be shorter for TikTok, edited a little different. YouTube, it can be longer. That's fine. Facebook, kind of in the middle. Instagram is closer to TikTok. So it's kind of in the order of how long the video should be. Okay, so exactly what I just said, edited to meet the needs. Okay, definitely with YouTube, you can go very granular. You can still do that with Facebook, Instagram, and I'm not sure about TikTok, but I do have advertisers that have used TikTok. We got a lot of views, a lot of visits to the site, but those were national campaigns. Okay, It can be absolutely, when you combine the big three for your area, as effective as TV cable commercials, okay? But much, much cheaper, okay? Effective, inexpensive branding. So relationship and branding plays. All social media advertisement, track based on impressions. Don't get focused on, I didn't sell a house. You're looking for impressions. Keeps your brand in front of the people, costs less than other direct forms of transactional advertising. The disadvantages are low conversions. Okay, we'll go into budgets in a little bit. Time management. SEO is time intensive, takes more time, more tweaks, and it takes longer to have an effect, but it stays with the site. SEM requires constant checks and tweaks and can be, somewhat technical. eBlast, use that to stay in touch. Just again, a little more time. Social media, it's got to be consistent. Okay, video, paid or organic, set up and monitor, so less time than others. Okay, social media, paid, set up and monitor. Okay, that covers all of your bases, and we talked about pretty much everything. And so think of eBlast as also updating your site. All right, so here's our summary. AdWords, still killing it, still doing a great job for selling homes. Organic, okay, Alive, still doing well. Okay, that's our search engine SEO. Demands are high on housing right now. Okay, I know we don't think about it. When we looked at that graph, we're in January and we're at a 52 percentile demand. That's as high as the peak demand in 2017, 18, and 19, which is just a little bit higher than that. So the demand is still very high. Social media is still what it has been, okay? And social media paid ads for branding. Okay, now I want to make a quick note because I work with home builders and they believe that boosted posts are the same as Facebook ads. I am not saying to stop doing boosted posts. That is a great way to penetrate the market. It still is. But the AdWords are going to get people, I'm sorry, the paid ads, which are separate from boosted posts, are going to get people to the site, and you don't even need a Facebook page to do that. Okay, so eBlasts are strong, low cost. Videos are the new media in 2023. I think it's a must. So you can set up, it's not necessarily a tour of each and every home you build. It's just individual information about the different aspects of home building and throwing in a few tours in addition to that. Your budgeting, 60 to 80% should be dedicated to transactional advertising because you still have to keep selling homes. Okay, the rest can be for branding. Unless you're selling so great that you want to do more in branding and less in selling, but this is a tough market. Social media ads versus boosted, we just covered that. Social media ads for branding are not as effective as transactional to get your home sold. So just remember that. If you're pouring a ton of money into Facebook, then really consider making some adjustments. eBlasts are strong, they're virtually no cost, and video is really a powerful tool in 2023, okay? So that really kind of covers what's working in 2023. Some of it's the same and some of it's different. If you have any questions about anything I've covered, we have Brad at Reality Concepts, that's my email. The 303 number is my direct name. If you want me to evaluate your site, be happy to do that at no cost. And we can take a look at advertising strategies and consult with you on pretty much anything and look at the metrics. I have a lot of tools for that. So kind of want to open it up if we have time to any questions.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Brad. That information was very valuable, and I hope everybody was prepared with their pen and paper to take lots of notes. And obviously, you can come back and revisit if you need to, but definitely use Brad as a resource to get you through all of your marketing needs this year. I do want to, you have a poll that you wanted to put up, so I'm going to go ahead and put up the poll while we answer questions. So if you are able to answer our poll real quick, I have that up for you guys to answer. And then we'll share results in a second. I do have one question. It's from Tobin in Canada, and he was wondering when you were talking about Zillow and all that stuff, he wanted to know if Zillow, if there was an equivalent to Zillow in Canada that they could take advantage of that you know of.
That's a good question, and I haven't found one yet. I have a couple Canadian builders that I work with, and there are options in Canada that do exist, but it doesn't have the brand recognition that Zillow has. So for right now, I would recommend taking advantage of, and there are a few tools out there in Canada that use the MLS as the feed, the Canadian version of that, and I take advantage of that. But if I could get my act together, maybe I should start the Zillow version in Canada.
Right? Everybody needs that.
Exactly.
I don't have any other. Oh, sorry. Thanks, Scott. I just realized I didn't hit the launch. I do have the poll up now for you guys. I'm like, why isn't anybody answering the poll? Because I forgot to hit launch. So it's up there now for you guys if you want to take just a second to answer the 4 questions that we have up there. They're just yes, no questions. Thank you so much, Scott, for bringing that to my attention. So Brad, if somebody is looking at really fine tuning their social media this year, where do you think their first place that they should start?
The very first place that you should start is to take a look at your Facebook strategy and the starting with the organic listings. And organic listings are just a general post. Make sure that you're posting. First thing is to do is make sure that the entire social media campaign is consistent. Okay, the ones I've covered are the ones that are working for home builders. That doesn't mean that there aren't other ones like Pinterest and things like that, but I'm covering the ones that are at the top of the list. So let's just start with a quick item about Facebook. Facebook is one that you want to make sure you're posting consistently, at least twice a week. You can set those up as scheduled posts. Then on top of that, you can mix in a little bit of boosted posts and then start looking at ways of advertising. And I recommend starting with communities. Go with a humble budget in the very beginning, and maybe 200 a month for the whole campaign, and send them to a specific community page, or if you don't have that, or scattered lots page if you have if you're building homes that aren't part of a community. So that's where to start there. Instagram is going to require a little more work. Just their campaigns you can advertise through, so you can have those ads appear on both, but your organic side of it needs to have a consistent posting of homes going up, what's going on, things that you might look for, things that tell people that you got quality homes. So that requires a little more hands-on. The other forms of social media like TikTok, that's still similar to what I just described in Instagram from an organic standpoint. So you want to evaluate the entire campaign, check the consistency. My experience has been, when it comes to your own stuff, most of the builders start off by not being that consistent, and you can use your blog as part of the material. Like, what do I post? Well, you can use what's in the blog for that. You're not going to give them the whole blog, you give them pieces. If you're not blogging, then you're really missing out. So that would be another thing to check. The other forms like Twitter and things like that, those really aren't very effective these days. You've heard of the turmoil and things like that. So the social media that I've covered are kind of the critical must-haves. Things like Snapchat and stuff like that really aren't designed for transacting with home builders. It's more the ones that I've covered. So that'll help you to tweak up what you're doing now. Top of the list is, am I being consistent? Am I getting my brand's message out there?
That's excellent. I really like that. That's the one thing I did pick up on. The whole thing you just talked about was consistency. We do have 2 questions. I have one from Diana, and she's asking for a really small high-end builder that's in Washington and needs to target California. How can we figure out which zip codes or areas to target?
You can go by demographics. You can put your ear to the ground on searches related to movement. What I mean by movement is relocation. And you can use those demographics as a means of you might want to consider doing less related to zip codes and more related to income and potential, quote, getting out of California or vacation homes or something like that. So not knowing your product specifically, hearing that it's luxury, that would be, and a fantastic tool for that would be AdWords. So you'd want to put in your ads automatically that, building in, building the area that you're building in, tired of living in the city or something like that within that. So hopefully that will help for that. But learning which, it's really just a question of what are the wealthier zip codes in the area. We all know that a lot of people are leaving California. It's one of the highest places that people are getting out of. It's in the top 5, I think. So that would be a really good start for that.
Thank you, Diane. Thank you, Brad. Diana, thank you for your question. Feel free to email Brad for follow-up questions or visit us at the booth at W1445 at the IBS show. Diana says thank you. Robin's question is, how often should the back end of your website be audited to ensure, all caps, is optimized?
Once and that's something that we can help you with. We'll do a free audit of your website. You should do an audit, in my opinion, about once a month, once it's in the 80 to 90% range. If you do an audit, you're going to see some things like minimize JavaScript, this, that, and the other. Some of these things are just not practical, and some of the things that come up are related to Google's code. So once you hit that number, of 80 to 90%, and there are things that you can fix, then you should step into maybe about a once a month. Google on the audits isn't necessarily going to hammer you for something right away, but I'm going to add this to that. You can easily monitor that as well. I'll give you kind of a website. Google, go to Google and type Webmaster Tools or Search Console, and then add your site to the Search Console, and Google will feed you the major issues that are wrong with your site without doing a full audit. So it'll tell you these things are holding up your site, whereas audits have a tendency, which I love audits, we do them all the time, and we do them once a month, but audits have a tendency to be stricter than Google, so that's good. But you're trying to fix some things you're trying to fix, and you just don't have any control over, like the code. They want you to get the code tighter and smaller, and that may not be possible.
Excellent, thank you. Wonderful. Robin said she'll contact you. She said you built her website 2 years ago, so thank you.
Okay, you bet.
Well, he looks forward to hearing from you, Robin. All right, we don't have any more questions. We are at the top of the hour. I am going to share the results though real quick so you can see the results of our poll. We had 66% participation for the paid advertising. 69% of those who answered said yes, they are doing paid advertising. 56% of you are using Google AdWords. Oh, there's a typo in there. Apologize for that. And then, do you advertise on social media? 81% of you are advertising on social media, and 94% of you plan to do some videos in 2023. So that'll be really exciting to see all the videos that are going to be popping up in 2023.
Looking forward to it.
Yes. So with that, I'll close out our webinar today. Do you have any final words, Brad?
I don't. Thank you for your time. And again, if you want some sort of a free web evaluation or just contact me, we'll be happy to schedule a time.
Excellent. Thank you again for coming to our webinar Wednesday. We look forward to seeing you at future webinar Wednesdays. And if you are going to be in Las Vegas for the Builder Show, come by our booth, W1445. We will be doing several little 10-minute presentations with Brad, and many of our other experts will be doing presentations in our booth. And we do have a schedule up on our website so you can see who's speaking and when. So we look forward to seeing you. Have a great afternoon, and we'll see you guys at Builder Show. Bye-bye.
Bye.